Good morning, children. Today we will read the second half of the story, The Tale of Peter Rabbit, and we'll find out what happens next in the story. But before that, let us do a quick recap. The story starts with the 4 little bunnies and their mother who lived below the root of a big tree. One day, before going out, their mother called them and warned not to go into Mr. McGregor's garden. Following their mother's advice, Flopsy, Mopsy and Cottontail, they go to collect some blackberries in the field. But Peter, he runs to Mr. McGregor's garden and starts eating vegetables there. And then when he was looking for some more vegetables, Mr. McGregor sees him and starts chasing him. He gets so scared that he forgets the way back to the gate. After running all around, he finally runs into a gooseberry net and gets caught. So we read till here yesterday. Now we will continue reading the story from here today. So please, children, follow the book. Take pencils so that you can underline the difficult words and know their meanings. Peter thought his end was near and shed big tears. Mr. McGregor came up with a sheave, which he planned to put on the top of Peter. But Peter wriggled out just in time. Alright, children, please underline the word sheave. Sheave is a tool with a net to trap something. It's like this, okay? It's like a net to trap something. And you also underline the word wriggled. Wriggled means to struggle, okay? So Peter, he thought that he is going to die now, and he started crying and shedding big tears. Mr. McGregor, he came with a sheave and he planned that he will put the sheave on the top of Peter and trap him. But Peter, he struggled hard and somehow managed to escape just in time. Alright. He rushed into the tool shed and jumped into a can. Mr. McGregor was quite sure that Peter was somewhere in the tool shed, perhaps hidden underneath a flower pot. He began to turn them over carefully, looking under each. Here you underline the word tool shed. Tool shed is a small building or a house for storing tools or for keeping different tools. So what happened? Peter, he rushed into the tool shed and jumped into a can. Mr. McGregor saw him from a distance and was quite sure that Peter was somewhere in the tool shed and thought that he must be hidden below a flower pot. So he starts turning each and every flower pot very carefully, looking for Peter. Soon Peter sneezed. Kerchoo! Mr. McGregor was after him in no time and tried to put his foot upon Peter, who jumped out of a window, upsetting 3 plants. The window was too small for Mr. McGregor, and he was tired of running after Peter. He went back to his work. Now see, as Mr. McGregor, he guessed correct. Peter was in the tool shed, and soon he sneezed. Achoo! Mr. McGregor heard him, and now he was after him. He tried to put his foot upon Peter, but Peter jumped out of a window and broke 3 pots. The window from where Peter jumped was very small, so Mr. McGregor couldn't jump from there, and he was also very tired of running after Peter. So he gave up the chase and went back to his work. Peter sat down to rest. He was out of breath and trembling. Trembling, underline the word trembling. Trembling means shaking. With fright. Okay, here you underline the word fright. It means fear. Okay, and he had not the least idea which way to go. After a time, he began to wander about, going lippity-lippity, not very fast, and looking all around. He found a door in a wall, but it was locked, and there was no room for a fat little rabbit to squeeze underneath. Here you please underline the word wander, W-A-N-D-E-R, wander. Wander means to walk or move around slowly. Now what happened? Peter, he was also very tired, and so he sat down to rest. He was out of breath, means he was breathless. When you run very fast for some time, what will happen? You will be breathless, isn't it? So was Peter. He was shaking with fear. He was very scared, and he had no idea which way to go. He forgot the way back to home. He was totally lost and didn't know the way to go back. Then after some time, he starts walking slowly, very slowly. Lippity here means to move very slowly. Then he looked all around. Then he finds a door in a wall, but it was locked, and there was no room to move or to squeeze under the door. Okay. An old mouse was running in and out over the stone doorstep, carrying peas and beans to her family in the wood. Peter asked her the way to the gate, but she had such a great pea in her mouth that she could not answer. So there he saw an old mouse carrying peas and beans to her family, and Peter asked the mouse the direction to the gate, but she was carrying a large pea in her mouth, and so she couldn't answer, she couldn't speak. Now Peter, he was in great trouble. He wants to go back home, but he is not finding any way to go back. Alright, now let's see what he does. He went back towards the tool shed, but suddenly, quite close to him, he heard the noise of a hoe. Alright, underline this word hoe. It is a long handled tool with a thin metal blade. This one, this is hoe, okay, with a long handle and a thin metal blade. This is a blade, okay. So this is used in gardening. Screech, scratch, scratch, screech. This is the sound, okay, of the hoe. Someone was using it, probably Mr. McGregor was using it, so he could, Peter could hear the sound, okay. Peter scooted underneath the bushes. Underline the word scooted, the meaning is given over here in the book, move hurriedly. But soon, as nothing happened, he came out and climbed upon a wheelbarrow, okay. Underline the word wheelbarrow. It is a small cart with a single wheel. Alright, I'll show you. This is a wheelbarrow with a single wheel. Can you see? You must have seen this, isn't it? This is called wheelbarrow. And peeped over. The first thing he saw was Mr. McGregor hoeing onions. His back was turned towards Peter, and beyond him was the gate. So here you underline the word peeped. Peeped means to secretly look at something. So now, when he did not get any answer from the mouse, he again went back towards the tool shed, and then suddenly there he heard the noise of a hoe. Screech, scratch, scratch. So this is the sound of a hoe that he heard. Then he hides himself under the bushes. He gets very scared. He thought that Mr. McGregor is somewhere near, so he hides himself under the bushes. He waits there for some time, but nothing happens. So he comes out of the bushes and climbs upon a wheelbarrow. I showed you the picture of wheelbarrow, right? And looks all over. Then he saw Mr. McGregor sowing onions in the garden. His back was turned towards Peter, and so Mr. McGregor couldn't see him, and beyond him was the gate. Finally, he found the gate. He could see the gate. Alright, now let's find out what he does next. Peter got down very quietly off the wheelbarrow and started running as fast as he could go, along a straight walk behind some black currant bushes. Mr. McGregor caught sight of him at the corner, but Peter did not care. He slipped underneath the gate and was safe at last in the wood outside the garden. Peter never stopped running or looked behind him till he got home to the big tree. So, Peter quietly got down the wheelbarrow and ran as fast as he could. Mr. McGregor saw him, but he did not care and kept running without looking here and there. He slipped under the gate and at last he was safe. He was outside the garden. He ran and never stopped running until he got home to the big tree. So see how scared he was. Now finally he reaches his home. So the story ends here. Hope you understood the story. Oh, what do we learn from this story then? We learn that we should always listen to our parents, our elders, because they always give us good advice. If we don't listen to them, we may put ourselves in great trouble, just like Peter. So always listen to your parents, to your teachers and elders. They always give you good advice because they care for you. So I hope you will keep this in mind. Please write down all the difficult words that I have asked you to underline and learn it. We will solve the exercises tomorrow. So till then, you will keep learning and keep watching. Thank you.